Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders, in green our Category 2, in blue Category 3 and Category 4.
And we can already see the damage being done on this Category 1 race. We are shedding riders from this group. Look at that stretch on this group with the riders already distanced off this group. This is the first time we've seen this on these race starts today as this Category 1 field stretches down the road.
Antico it is now who's pushing on the front. Alessia Antico currently opening up the gap on the rest of the riders, but it's not definitive at this stage. That attack, that kick goes, the response comes, and now Cadero has to make sure that she makes the most of this. She drops in behind the leading riders, doesn't find herself distanced by the chasers. This is an interesting move. Fioroni is using this chance to rest on the way through. This could be a mistake. Is this genius or is this a massive risk? 30.68k covered for Category 1. Category 2, they're on 32.3. Category 3 and 4, they're another minute down the road almost here at the moment. That is some scary power coming over the top. Fiorini is going to surely be able to do this, but behind, Alicia Antico has not given up on this. But is Carla Fioroni going to make this? Here comes the run. She's pushing for that line. She's going to make it. She's going to take the win in Category 3. So hello and welcome. It's our February finals on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's the 26th of February. Where's the month gone? Well, it's gone in some absolutely amazing racing. And it was great to see on the rewind that we just had on the show, the Category 3 riders absolutely battling it out and showing just how exciting that racing is right the way through the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club race fields. My name is Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of the action throughout today, and I'm joined in the studio by Emma Martin. Emma, that Category 3 race was stunning, wasn't it? And it was on a very tough course at Wollongong.
Well, yeah, it was indeed, Matt, and it's great to be here for the February final. But I have to say, it's not just our Category 3 riders that have given us great racing this month. It has been across all of the categories. We've seen some really different tactics play out during February, and we've seen some interesting finishes.
We have, and I think for me, the thing that we've seen is it does vary from course to course, and we've got a cracker of a course coming up in the brand new refurbished Arabian World. I'm not going to be able to say that for much longer because the graphics, everybody's going to have ridden it and seen it. It is really good. Take us through the course, Emma.
Yeah, so today for the Sunday final, the women today are in Arabia, 35 kilometres of racing with an elevation of 904 metres, and it's a Category 1 finish today. So a mountaintop finish today. There is 10.4 kilometres in length, the climb, with 690 metres of climbing coming at that final stage of the race today. An average gradient of 6.5%, but as you can see there are steps in that climb, so there are steeper segments there and a flatter top to take us to the checkered flag today. Now, along the way, we also have 7 segments, and we'll be able to see some of the racing dynamics through those segments.
So that's the course. Let's dive in with our riders. Category 1 in yellow, 2 in green, 3 in blue, and Category 4, the first to start in red. Let's dive in and have a look at the race teams. The Breakaways, Colombian Kiwis, the Fire Girls teams in Category 4. Some great riders, Emma.
Oh, there are indeed, and this team category is going to be really good today. So 12 riders on the start sheets today, 3 teams, and I think it's the Colombian Kiwis to give away today. We have some great riders in the breakaway. Tanningen indeed won the January final, but you know, she's not placed in the top 5 since.
Well, we're going to see how they are going to get on. So let's get our riders underway. So the countdown is on. It's our February finals here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. The first riders away, Category 4 in the women's competition here in the world of Arabia. And the riders are heading out onto the course. So the riders away and now making the way down towards the start of the race route proper. We're in with Christine Daggio at the moment and looking like this bunch is all together as they head out, Emma.
Yeah, it is indeed. And indeed, January's winner, Tandingen, has indeed taken the initiative to take that group out. And she's just leading that group through at a strong pace this morning. So just leading this pace through and over the bridge and out on to the tarmac. So Fernanda, Tandingen, Gonzalez, Hyde, all the riders, Giraldo is in there as well, all the riders we would expect to see in here. Some strong riding we've seen throughout February in our category 4 with 6 riders taking top 5 positions. Well, 6 riders that are on the start sheets today. So Tandingen continuing to take the initiative here and lead this group out on the flat start sections. And it is a flat start for around the first 9 or 10 kilometers today.
So that's going to be running us out. Let's watch these riders heading out and through this first section of the course. And let's dive in with those riders. So let's just watch them. Let's listen to that wind noise as they make their way through. So as you can hear, the riders rocketing their way in through the race, and at the moment looking really, really good as they come through this bunch. I'm loving the fact that the personalization now, so we can see Terry Tandingen with the cap on. You've got the different helmets, we've got the different bikes and kit, Emma. It really does make life a little bit easier to identify your own rider when you're racing.
Yeah, it does indeed, and it makes it a little bit more interesting for viewers because they can start to pull out their favourite racers as well and identify where they are in the pack easier, which is absolutely fantastic. But talking about absolutely fantastic, Tandingen is absolutely nailing her colours to the mast front of this pack so far today.
She is, and good to see her right in here. Now we're going to dive into the Ferrari garage here on the MyWhoosh World. This is one of my favourite parts, being a bit of a petrol head, as we come in and through. I can only dream of driving one of these, but you know what? It's what dreams are made of. If you can't do this on the virtual world of MyWhoosh, where can we? We can see our riders in those red jerseys coming through past the Rosso red Ferraris as they come in through Arabia and out into the sunshine once again. Of course, our riders all around the globe, and great to see so many Colombian riders riding.
Yeah, and you're right, Matt, all around the globe and racing at different times around the globe from first thing in the morning, at lunchtime, afternoon and evening. Riders on the MyWhoosh platform are riding throughout that 24-hour period to join us on the Sunday Race Club.
It does depend on where you are in the world, of course, as to what time zone you're in, whether you're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, as we do, or whether you are getting a late night. Well, let's see who is wide awake and had their coffee this morning. If it is morning in our Category 3 riders with some great teams lined up here, and great to see these teams in on a team competition day, which is going to be paying out big for those teams: Pink Power, Team Golden Light, Firestorm Falcons, and the Good Girls teams. And of course, we have some great riders in there.
Oh, we do indeed. And the Good Girls team is absolutely stacked with Fioroni, Ribaldo, Barco, and Lopez. All riders who have had top 5 positions this month, but 15 racers on the start sheets today alongside those 5 teams. So really looking forward to this Category 3 race today.
And the 3 riders, Category 3 riders, they are going to be chasing the Category 4, because our Category 4 starting first, then 3, then 2, and then Category 1. They are going to be the last riders away, but our Category 3 riders are lined up and ready to go. Let's see who is going to get that quick start.
So we're in with Agudelo Arrayas as the seconds count down to the start of the Category 3 February final on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Our blue jersey riders come out of the start pen. Ochoa kicking hard with Ribaldo following in two. Quintero is there. Coking, who has moved up from Category 4, in the mix as well, with Lopez there too. Barco moving through. These are all women who have taken the top 5 positions. In fact, we've got 8 riders on the start sheets today in this category who have finished in the top 5 this month.
So as you look on your screens, you can see that our Category 3 riders are going out as Category 4 already going through segment number 1, which is from kilometers 2 to 3. And that means that there is a 3K head start. The Category 4 riders have rocketed off from the start.
Yeah, that indeed does, Matt, say that our Category 4 riders are moving fast and moving quick. We said Tandingham was at the front of that Category 4 pack, and she obviously wants to make a race of it today, because that distance separating these two race categories already this early on indicates how fast those Category 4 riders are moving and their intention on the race today. Be really interesting to see what our Category 3 riders do and what their tactics are and how this plays out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting run. So for those people just watching and just joining us who've maybe not watched a MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club before, we have 4 categories itself at staggered times. The individual and team prizes are discrete to each category. So that means irrespective of where you finish overall in that race, you are going to get prizes. So it's the top 5 riders individually and our top 5 teams, each of which has to have 3 qualifying riders to count. When that happens, the results are then put up on the results page. Now, the results at the moment are live, so if you jump on to mywhoosh.com results, you'll see the live race results. When we finish the race, it will be unofficial until all of the riders are verified, and that verification process ensures that the riders' performances are real, that they are not affected by outside influences such as a change in humidity, weather, temperature, etc., which can change a power meter reading. For example, if you take your bike out with a power meter and put it in the sunshine, you will find it will read very differently, about 30 watts differently to when you have it in the shade. And that's in a 25 to 30 degree temperature in the sun and about 5 degree temperature in the shade. So as people's pain caves warm up, as they get super hot, that's going to change things on the way through. So those verification results, making sure that everybody's in there, and there's everything including AI in there.
There is indeed, and let's just clarify, Matt, that the prize money today is for both the top 5 individually in each category, as well as the team competition that goes to 5th place as well. And the prize money is identical in both the men's and the women's racing.
And that's something that's happened on MyWhoosh right from the start, right from the very first shows. We've seen this, and it's been great to know that the platform has always awarded the same prize money right the way through, which is brilliant. And it's not to be sneezed at. I mean, the first prize for a Category 1 team is 50,000 UAD, which is substantial, isn't it?
It is indeed. And you know, it is indeed. So 50,000 the first prize for Category 1, and 10,000 for the first prize of the individual prizes in Category 1 as well. Now, going back to the racing, we're seeing our rider who has progressed 2 weeks ago from Category 4 to Category 3, taking the initiative here for the first time in the Category 3 final as she pushes on.
So that is Category 3, now into Category 2. So our riders lined up and ready to go. Let's have a quick look at our teams. We've got the endurance team, the Whooshers, the ever-present Team RT Cycle Zone, ladies, strong women and tri teams. The riders are back here once again. Strong riders, strong teams.
Well, definitely strong teams, and I don't think we can call this today because tri women, the endurance team and Team RT Cycle Zone 1 have all had riders finish in the top 5 this month, and the strong women are close behind too. So 11 different riders on the start sheets today have all finished in the top 5 this month. So this is anybody's race for the final in February. Just to confirm, 19 riders on the start sheets today in Category 2.
So our Category 2 riders lined up ready to go for the finals of the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club in February, and away we go. So the kick out absolutely critical. Nobody wants to be left behind on the initial push out onto the race route proper, coming out from the pens, out around these turns and then hitting the course. Being in this group is key because the first part of this course is so flat and fast. The draft is absolutely critical.
It is indeed, and this group are all moving away as one today. We're in with Judlock, and this pace is moving strongly across the bridge. They're going to cross the bridge over the water before they hit the tarmac, and the group are moving strongly.
And do you know what I really love about this section? And it's a little bit away from the racing, that if you take a look at the overview of the worlds and, for example, of Abu Dhabi or Dubai, there are a lot of the cities which are really, really green, really verdant, and you get that on that section. But then you run into the high-rise buildings, and you've got these amazing architectural monuments, and right from, of course, from the ancient mosques right the way through to the most modern of buildings. Brilliant scenery and great to race in, even if our riders are going to be focused on the numbers, the watts, the power, and putting the racing down. It's a great place to ride.
Yeah, and you know, the scenery does make it a little bit more pleasant to ride, and picking out different things as you're moving through the race field. So Jadlock in here, but this group now bunched together and all across the road here, indicating we've got a consistent pace coming from this group, just shy of 40 kph and moving slightly downwards there and slowing as we transition through these sections and into town. But this pack all moving away from the start really well together.
So just hitting 1 kilometre of a race distance covered. Remember, the total race distance is 35k, so 6.7k for Category 4, nearly 4k for Category 3, 1 kilometre and more now covered for Category 2. Category 1, well, they've got a little bit of a wait before they go. They are the last of our riders to go. They're top left of your screen.
Yeah, and interesting, Matt, there's a larger distance separating Category 3 and Category 4 than there is Category 2 and Category 3 already.
Well, Category 3 was so quick last time. We saw Fiorini really pushing on, but we know that they've got some very, very talented riders in there. And it looks like Coking in Category 3 already going down the road in Category 3. In Category 4, Ella Vink is our leader, but she's in with a group. And we're just taking a look now. This is Mary Joyce Coking, who absolutely dominated Category 4. She's looking to set her marker down in Category 3, and this progression through, how long will it be before she's a Category 1 rider?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because her tactics are always the same: go out hard from the gun, and then on these courses where there's a big climb at the end, sometimes she gets caught.
And I think that's going to be really interesting to see when she maybe moves to Category 2, if she goes that far, that when you've then up against maybe riders who can actually take the fight to you, not the other way around. Because when you're on the offensive, it's easy to set your own pace. When you are then battling against people who are better than you at certain things, then it gets much more difficult indeed. Our Category 2 riders all in a big bunch. Category 3 being led by a solo rider, chased by the bunch. Category 4 as one big bunch. So different tactics between categories 3 and the other two categories. What will our Category 1 riders do? Let's jump in with the riders. These are the cream of the crop, the elite of the elite, our Category 1 squads, and some amazing squads on the line today. We have Spartan obstacles. We have the best, and we have free riders down in here, as well as the Fusion Squad, Crank Sisters, and the Mull crew, who are all going to be taken to the start list. And Emma, some new squad names in there as well.
There are some new squads in here, and we've had some new riders join Category 1 over the last 2 months, really. So it's great to see that those new riders are forming teams and coming through together. So the best, for example, Estrada, Ortiz, and Echeverry, all new riders, Ortiz, those three there coming through, but all having positions in the top 5 this month. So Crank Sisters, who have been quite dominant here, are going to have some real competition this month in the February final.
So, real competition, really fast racing. The Category 1 riders are all lined up. They're ready to go. The last category to go clear.
So our Category 1 riders, we're in with Sakamoto as the power starts to go down and they wind up for the start of the February MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club final. The riders come out of the start pen, they take the turns and round the course to the road, and they are out on the wooden bridge as they move through this course today. So Sakamoto here pushing on with Ortiz, with Giraldo, with Manshandi, with Cavado. Embring is in here as well, and Menendez too. These riders stretching the course at the moment. They're stretching the pack. Bauer is the one on the front at the moment. Now, Bauer we often see climbing really strongly, but she's leading this group out of the start pen, and they are already shedding riders. Not even 500 meters of this course complete.
Well, I think that's part of Jojo Bauer's tactics today. I think is to whittle this group down just a little bit, because there are some strong climbers who maybe won't have that sprint start out from the gun.
Yeah, we've got 21 riders on the start sheets today amongst those 6 teams, Matt, in this category, and 10 riders on the start sheets today who have taken top 5 positions. So this is going to be a highly competitive race, and these women are going to have their wits about them around the tactics today.
No more experienced, I think, than Jojo Bauer in terms of racing. I remember Bauer being on this platform pretty much from the word go. We've been broadcasting. It's coming up for a year. Maybe we should have a celebratory cake when we've been broadcasting for a year here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And there's some new names, there's some very experienced names, but what we do know is we're always going to get some very competitive racing with these 4 different race categories across the race fields, and of course racing for big prize money in the individual categories and in the team competition as well. Well, who is going to take away victory? We will have to wait to find out. Remember, 35 kilometers along the course with the big climb coming up the end. Left hand side of your screen is Category 1, right hand side of the screen is Category 2, and you can see at the moment the distance between these categories. It currently is standing at about 2.7k. It's going to be very interesting to see how this then plays out, whether they make the catch or not, or whether tactics will play their part and delay the Category 1 riders. But Jojo Bauer looking like she is meaning some serious business today and keeping the pressure on.
Yeah, I have to say, I think this is a course today that will suit Bauer with the large climb at the end. You know, that's a 10.4 kilometer climb, and there are very few women in this pack who climb as well as Bauer. She will have very few of them for company, I think, once we get to that stage. Tactics depending, given what happens in this course, but that mountaintop finish should suit Bauer.
Well, I'm just taking a little look as we come through the Ferrari garage. Ferrari, one of the supporters here, and a great place to head through. A little bit of shade as they come out from that Rosso Redwood out into the sunshine. Bauer leading out this group. The course isn't totally flat, is it? If you throw your minds back to our course profile, there is a little bit of a rise coming in. And that kicks in at about a third race distance. And that is pretty much the biggest climb and descent that we have on the way through, with the exception of the major climb to finish. And that, I think, for me, would be a key trigger point. Keep the pressure on to keep people honest to the climb, but then put the kick in on that first little climb and see whose legs are good, see who can respond.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there is one small climb before we get to the main section, but it does drop down further than it climbs, so that there then is another small rise before we see the flatland transition of around 7 kilometers into the bottom of the main climb today. So it'll be really interesting to see whether we see an attack there in any of our categories, or whether the riders just wait until that final Category 1 climb today.
Well, that first climb has got a knife-edge top, so by that we mean it ascends up very quickly. It turns into a descent, and if there's not much recovery period on the top, so you can see it. We've saw the head-on loop yesterday, classic. where we saw some great riding by Matty Modric for the UAE team, going on the offensive, trying to close down the gaps. But what happens is when you get up to the top of the climbs in Omloop, most of them are flat on the top, so you can recover and regroup. Where it's knife edge and it drops back down, which it did on some of the climbs, the gaps opened up, and it's exactly the same here on the Sunday Race Club. When the riders go up, if you've got a little bit of a gap over the top, because it instantly descends, that little thin end of the wedge is hammered wide open, the wedge drives in and it splits open. That is really key. Now, all of our riders have gone through segment 1. This is where we see the indications, and we'll see these all the way through and over that section of the climb as well. And at the moment, well, look at this. The rider who is the most aggressive today, by the look of it, which is Mary Joyce Coking, is the rider with the gap. And it is a complete run, by the look of it, of Category 1 riders. So Mary Joyce Coking leading out with a 4.69 second advantage through segment number 1, which is 1 kilometre long. Very interesting to see that she has now started to open up that gap, and that is because she's putting it down. And if you look at the watts, 277 watts versus the rest of the Category 1, nowhere near that same amount of power.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Coking is 9 seconds through that segment faster than her Category 3 compatriots, with Giuliano setting the second best time. And that is a group of 17 Category 1 riders going through that segment together.
So just looking at Jenny Sanchez now, she's doing the same as Coking, isn't she? She's looking to open up a gap here, and Jenny Sanchez, really competitive, a fast, hard-riding competitor, got Manuela Sanchez behind, and then Morgan Olsen chasing. The chase is on. I tell you something, it is splitting here, because we are going to see Manuela Sanchez joining Jenny Sanchez at the front, and Pardini has seen the danger. So has Reynard, but they are not making any ground. And we are going to see Jenny and Manuela Sanchez at the moment start to open up. This has got to be a concerted move. Great tactics there. Jenny going down the road, then Manuela joining them. Now they've got 2 riders and they can work together.
Well, I think this is the start of the attacking in the Category 2 race, but we're also seeing a movement in the Category 3 race, and we start to see the riders here not wanting Coking to get too much more of a distance. So Ribaldo pushing on here. Fioroni is doing the chasing. Barco and Cabatan are there as well. These riders now wanting to get this race underway proper.
Well, I'll tell you something. We were talking prior to going live on air about what we wanted to see in the race, and universally, both in the commentary box and in the production studios at MyWhoosh, we were all saying we want a really aggressive, fast, hard riding race with everybody giving it stuff, real big beats from the word go. Do you know what? Dreams do come true.
Yeah, and look at this. Jenny Sanchez and Manuela Sanchez have joined together here in this Category 2 race. Phil Manuela just coming onto the back of Jenny's wheel as the Sanchez's move through, and they've got a 12-second gap now on the chase field in this Category 2 race. So it's looking like, Matt, we are seeing all of our race categories light up the touch paper.
They have now. Jenny's got to be careful. She was just gapping Manuela a little bit there. She can't afford to do that. Meanwhile, front of Category 3, our riders are starting to come together. We've got the group here. I think this is going to be 4 riders in total chasing the solo rider. Ribaldo looking strong, but she can't afford to go too hard either. They've got to get close together to work as a group. That advantage will make a big difference here. So Category 1 at the moment, the only one which hasn't fractured apart, and I can't imagine it'll be all that long until that really does happen. Now Ribaldo on this big climb here, currently at 10k in, and this is the big climb up and through where we see the gaps. Now Ribaldo has got 5 seconds, 6 seconds into the chases. Fioroni, Barco and Higuita. I think this is going to be really interesting. These 3 try to close down Ribaldo, but Ribaldo is on a bit of a mission to close down Coking.
Yeah, and I think this is real moment in this Category 3 race, because the gap is starting to close to Coking. They've taken 10 seconds out of that gap now. Ribaudo was pushed on again, and a strange tactic for me, because I would have thought, Matt, she would have utilised these riders behind her, and this would have been a group of 5 making the catch rather than Ribaudo going down the road. But she obviously has a different race plan.
That, or she's comfy at the pace she's going, and she knows that the climb will suit her strengths, and she's quicker on the early part of the climb rather than the later part.
Now, interesting, Matt, we've got our Category 4 race come up on our screen as well, and originally we had a 3-kilometre gap between Category 3 and Category 4. That has now been brought down to 2 kilometres, and let's bear in mind Coking is further down the road, so she'll be even closer to the Category 4 race.
She will indeed, and this climb is a brutal drag. 3 and 4 are on the way up. Meanwhile, Category 1, they're a long way back. They're 6K covered, so they're almost half the distance under the wheels as the rest of the Category 3 and 4 riders. Category 2 sandwiched in between, and Category 1 in and through that banner. Let's have a look at those numbers, and that is very interesting, isn't it, Emma? Because Category 1 are not hitting the touch paper.
No, they're not, because actually we've got the lights of the racing in the other categories coming through here in terms of setting the fastest time through segment 2. So segment number 2, the fastest time through segment number 2 being set by our Category 2 riders, Tan, Kokkonen, Cerner, Cinelli and Reynard going through the fastest. But then when you look further down the actual races we've just done, it's our Category 4 race field that are really going with Vink, Giraldo, Paolo, Gallego, Agudela. Mary Joyce Coking is setting a fast time in there with the 18th fastest time. She's leading that Category 3 race. Then in 30th position, 15 seconds back through this category, we have our Category 1 race field. And Menendez is leading that Category 1 race field. So we are seeing real action in our other race fields other than Category 1, and our segments today are really telling us a story.
They are indeed, and I mean 28th place for the first Category 1 rider. Can you remember a time when that has happened?
Well, actually, Matt, I can.
Go on. You're sad. You need to get out more.
I am, because it wasn't that long ago that we had a very, very slow start to our Category 1 race field, and it wasn't until segment number 6 that Category 1 women's race actually set the fastest time through a segment.
Wow.
Yeah. Very different tactics, and it's so interesting with these 4 different race starts to see each race field having a different tactic and how it plays out during the race.
And the racing here in Category 2 is really highlighting that. So here in Category 2, big move by Manuela along with Jenny Sanchez. 2 riders going clear and breaking open the race. The gap has opened up. They're on the right-hand side of your screen. The left-hand side of your screen, you can see the chase is coming. But these are the 2 riders who have lit up Category 2 and have opened a half-a-minute gap on the rest of the chasers. This is really, really key, because what they're doing now is they're making everybody else work behind. But as we continue up this climb, it's Jenny Sanchez who is making the run, and Manuela Sanchez has got to be careful she doesn't get gapped and lose that draft. You can see at the moment, top left-hand side, the numbers in black, so those gaps really are starting to open. Now we're in with Category 3. They're starting to catch the Category 4 riders as well, and it looks like Coking has got a fractional gap. In fact, here she comes. She's going to get her here. So Ribaudo's just blasted past Mary Joyce Coking.
Yeah, so Ribaudo and the chasing group of 4 other riders in this Category 3 race have made the catch to Coking, who went off the front early. Too early. It's been interesting to see that Coking used the same tactic in Category 3 as she's used historically in Category 4, but she has been caught at the 12.6 kilometre mark.
She has, and what I think I'm going to be really interested to see, Hams, is whether she now jumps in with them and can stay with that chasing pack. I wonder whether she's thought, right, I'll go early, break the group, pull a smaller group and then save something for later on. But I'm not sure I would have waited on the climb. I'd have waited onto the top or into the descent so that you knew that you weren't going to have to climb out. So wait up at the top of the summit. Ribaldo, though, she's shown her form on the climb here, but we're straight into the descent. You come out basically from the tunnels into this oasis in the center, and the oasis is a drop down into the next tunnel, and you can see the gradient top right hand side of your screen -6%, and in fact getting steeper still.
Yeah, it is indeed. And you can also see the chase group there with Ribaldo out front. In fact, I really like that graphic in the top right-hand corner of the screen, Matt, because it gives the viewer a really clear indication of what's happening. And you can see very, very clearly that the chase group are coming back to Ribaldo. So Barco, Ribaldo, Fioroni, Higuita, Koking and Lopez. Well, actually not Lopez, but Koking is the last rider in that group. Lopez leading the chase.
And if you're watching for the first time, that top graphic on the top right hand side contains a lot of information. It's got the ascent in there in total. You've also got on there the map view, which is a 3D satellite view. You've got the profile directly below it, the thin white line with the green arrow indicating where the rider is. You've got the gradient on there in the box, which will change color depending on the steepness of the gradient and whether it's an ascent or descent. The dots are your riders in the center, and the largest dot is the rider that you are viewing. So in this case, this is Ursula Bardskaya. And then the rest of the dots are smaller. So it shows you where in that group the rider you're watching is. Now, these riders all have gone through segment number 3. And again, category 1 are not at the top of the standings. Do you know whereabouts they are, Emma?
I am really just taking a look through the back of the field. So the category 1 pack 12 seconds back from 24th place. But in first place here is indeed Ribaldo, Sanchez and Sanchez from our category 2 race field. Then our category 3 race field, Cabaton, Barco, Higuita, Fioroni. These are the race fields that are chasing and riding strongly. Then Olsen, Santiago, Kokkonen, Lantari, the rest of our category 2 race field. And there in 24th place is Biarhead, Bauer and Sakamoto, the first 3 riders in category 1.
And heading up each of those categories were those aggressive riders who have taken the battle to the rest of the race field. Fernanda, Vink, going in and through the front of this race, still being chased here. But I think what's really telling, these riders on to the climb, that's 17k. Now this is mid-race distance, and this is the ascent out from the dip in the center of your course profile. So we climbed up through the tunnel, out into the oasis at the top, down through the tunnels, into the descent, and this is the ascent out the other side, and that shows you just how close category 3 is to category 4, because they're on to basically the same climb. Category number 4 currently leading in the blue, but it won't be long until we start to see the riders coming behind.
No, and now what is really interesting here, Matt, is that it is Gallego who was in a little bit of trouble there, but she's closed that gap now. She's had 1 win this month, so a strong rider, but that is 6 riders in the lead of that category 4 race. Top 5 in the prize pot.
Indeed, that's where you want to be in the prize money. Now, we saw Jenny Sanchez and Manuela Sanchez go on the offensive as they came through town into the slightly bumpier rolling sections. But look behind, there is one category 3 rider in between, but the bunch is coming and about to catch them, and here they come. So the big group of riders in category 2, the chasing group, are chasing down our 2 escapees in Jenny Sanchez and Manuela Sanchez, and this distance, whilst it is foreshortened because we are on the climb, it has not completely decreased, and the pressure is on here a little bit on this chasing group to get them back before the exit. If you look top right hand side of both screens, and this screen, you can see we're about to come out from the tunnels here, and when we go out from the tunnel into the oasis, we know it goes downhill, and that is where that gap could reopen back up again. But there should be enough draft in the big bunch to close the duo down if this bunch has done enough work on the climb. Really interesting proper chess on wheels.
Well, it is, isn't it? And it is really interesting because this category 2, is our most competitive category. 11 riders on the start sheets today, Matt, had finished in the top 5 throughout February. And I think that's what is really interesting here. And you can see with the quality of the chase field and bringing Sanchez and Sanchez back towards them.
Well, this is very interesting. I'm just going to take a quick coffee and a break and some food, because that's exactly what this lot are doing. I was out on my bike yesterday, if you're watching, and I was out and riding, and I got about halfway through and my legs fell off because I hadn't fueled up properly prior to the ride. I'm not sure if this lot are just taking on board fueling category 1, because at the moment they, I think, are being very careful because they're so worried about what's going to happen later on. Whereas there's a little bit more aggressive racing in categories 2, 3, and 4, and it's category 2 on your screens at the moment. They're on the tunnels, and now Jojo Bauer, I think, has decided enough is enough. Put the food back in the back pocket. It's time to get racing again.
Well, Bauer has just started to climb the small climb that is about a third into this course today, and the only real climb before we get to that category 1 climb at the end. So Bauer just stretching her legs, but you know what, she's gone back into the bunch already, and not really making much of this. So this group slightly stretching through this climb, but not a huge amount, and unlike the other race categories, not a lot of attacking. This is still quite a large bunch. So we've got Sakamoto, Brogan, Bauer, Biarhead, Embring, all still in this group alongside a large number of other category 1 riders. Now, really interesting, Matt, you can see we've got a 3-kilometre, I can't believe I'm saying this, a 3-kilometre gap between category 1 and category 2 at the moment. And our category 2 field all brought back together again. They've brought Sanchez and Sanchez back, so a large group now in there. Now we've got 17.5 kilometres. We've got this amazing attacking race going on this category 3 field. So Ribaldo and Fioroni are the 2 riders out, but they've only got a 2-second gap on Barco, who is now starting to close the gap again and wanting to get onto the back of those wheels. Those riders are now picking through the back of the category 4 race field. Now, that category 4 race field is around 1.2 kilometres down the road. Now, that tells you how attacking this category 3 race has been, because it was 3 kilometres at the start.
It was indeed. Now we're going to see a little bit of a level here as they come up this ascent. This is a 2-stepped ascent out from the tunnel descent. So basically we come up and through on to this climb. This is stage 1. As we come to the start of this segment, it levels slightly as we come in through underneath the red banner there, a MyWhoosh banner. But what we're going to see as we come through town, that little bit of a flat section, you can see these riders in front up on this very summit in category 4 in the red are being chased by our category 3 in the blue. The blue riders still have one more step up to get to the very top level of this, and this is the rise outside of that big dip and descent. So really at the end of the first hard sections of climbing, where you've got your first 2 ascents. They are very small though in comparison to the big ascent at the end, but they are critical to ride over at pace. And at the moment, I think we're seeing category 3 showing just how it can be done, because they've really broken and put a very well established group at the front. Now in with category 2, the group is together. Are we going to see another move here, Emma, from the stronger riders as they come down? They've just finished their descent into the very base of the dip. They're now going to be going up on to the same 2-stage climb.
Well, you say from the stronger riders, Matt, but there are very few riders in this group who haven't had a top 5 podium this month. So some really strong riders in there. In fact, taking a look back there, we can just see the very back of the category 2 race field about to be caught, as Brogan will be leading the category 1 race field. They're starting to work their way now through the back of that category 2 field.
and they're coming up over the top of that climb. So this is the first of the big sections of climbing into this very fast descent, and anybody left behind at this stage is going to be scrabbling for wheels because the volume of riders is at the front of category 1, and they are going to have the pace and the speed on this descent. And it's familiar names, Jesse Menezes in there, Dana Degamashandi, Jojo Bauer, all the usual riders, people like Anna Embry, absolutely world-class riders leading the way down now. On your screens, category 2, left-hand side, you can see category 3, right-hand side. The riders all chasing each other, but now this is the start of that first part of the 2-stage climb. This is category 2 race leaders on the ascent. The group is thinning. It's a longer, thinner line. They're not in a big bunch. It's not a blob, a bubble, a ball of riders. It is a longer, strung out group. As they start to detach riders, this is where you see the action coming. And again, we've seen the same again here. Jojo Bauer, this is a descent. She's still lining out category 1 here because the pace has gone up. We are starting to see 4 and 5 watts per kilo from these riders, which is a number that we would expect to be seeing from them almost on an ascent rather than on a descent.
Yeah, but we are starting to see them stretch that field, and we're starting to see 1 or 2 riders just drop off the back of that category 1 pack. But as that pack all snowballs together, it is the next category 2 rider, De Gracia, who is going to see them fly past her.
Well, hopefully she's got a little bit of a kick to jump in because they are a great train to catch on to, but it takes some doing, but benefiting from that draft on the way down is key, and I think she's done that. So great riding there by De Garcia. She's been absorbed by that pack. She's just on the back of the group. You can see that green jersey there, and she's now going to get a toe down and along this flatter bottom section before we go into the climb that the race leaders in category 2 on the right hand side of your screen are on at the moment. So category 1 on the flat run into the climb, category 2 on the right hand side, and it's Manuela Sanchez who has gone again. I tell you something, if we were awarding combativity prizes, I think the Sanchez riders are going to be getting that. And Manuela Sanchez has attacked again here on the climb. Great aggressive riding and brilliant to see.
Yeah, it is indeed, and it's Kekkonen who's leading with Tejeros behind, who are bringing that group back, but Sanchez around a 2-second gap now. Now, just a little check back, Matt. Between category 1 and category 2, it's a 2.6 kilometre gap. Between category 2 and category 3, it's a 1.9 kilometre gap. And between category 3 and category 4, it's a 1.3 kilometre gap. So you can see the fact that category 1 has actually been our slowest group out of the start pen.
Dum, dum, dum.
I know.
Amazing stuff. Right, in with category 2. I'm loving the 4 categories. Keeps us on our toes, to put it mildly. So, category 2. This is your race leaders in category 2. They're chasing Manuela Sanchez. They're top right-hand side of the screen. So, we've got category 1, 2, 3, and 4 all out on the road. And you can see that summary of the distances in there.
Look at that. It's sorry, Matt. Look at that. I was about to say it's 6 kilometres difference between the leaders on the road, which is our category 4 lead pack, and this, our category 1 lead pack.
And category 1 are not yet at half race distance. In fact, they've only just gone through the end of segment 4. But the big difference here is for the first time, it is category 1 who have almost entirely filled the top of your screens.
Yeah, so segment number 4 is our first 3 kilometre segment, so a longer segment now, and it is at category 1 race field that have gone through the quickest. So Carana and Geraldo Ortiz, Gonzalez, Rua, Quevedo, Geraldo, Bardescaya, Manchandi, Menezes, Biarhead, the top 10 fastest times, but there's still some distance between them, you know, because we've got a 2-second gap and separating that group. So that is interesting in itself. Now, it will be taking a little look back down the field, and I am seeing, she says, taking a scroll, that it is our category 2 race field that have set the second fastest time through that segment, but they were 15 seconds slower than the category 1 pack, and that category 1 pack is indeed down to 16 riders.
So as you can see, things changing in the race, and what is so key about this, if you're not up to speed, if you're not au fait with how these segments work, they give you that individual snapshot of where the riders are and who is doing what. And up till then, we'd seen that category 1 were not the fastest through segments 1, 2, and 3. Segment 4, they're the fastest. It means they've woken up and decided to start racing properly, really giving it some beans. This is the pick the moment as they come into that segment. Now we're into category 2 with Manuela Sanchez up there, but look at this group with her. It is an incredible chasing pack. It's 11 seconds, I think, the distance, and that means that although they are all on the top of the ascent, Sanchez is going to go into this descent first.
Yeah, and Manuela Sanchez is having a storming ride here, but this is a large chase pack, and we've said this before, isn't we? And before, this large pack did indeed close that gap back to Sanchez and Jenny. So before, it was Manuela and Jenny Sanchez. So both of the Sanchezes had made the distance and the gap first time. The pack brought them back, and now Manuela has attacked again. She's currently got a 10-second gap back, but it's Hermassen and Koning and Tejeros with Lantari who are pulling that group back, and they are doing some work here. Currently the chasing pack at 46 kph doing that chasing on a slight downhill section. So really interesting to see how this category 2 field is going to play out. A little bit further back down the road, still on the climb, is our category 1 race field, and it's Sakamoto with Giraldo, Estrada, Biarhead, Menendez and Quevedo with Bauer, who are at the front of that race field.
So here on our summary screens, we've got category 1, 2, 3 and 4. We've seen some very early skirmishes. We've seen the riders breaking up the racing. We've seen who's aggressive, whose legs are climbing well. We're now in this middle section of the race. Time to draw breath and take a little bit of a look and see who is going to keep pushing. Category 1 at the moment are coming up to the top step. They are heading in towards the top half of the last climb prior to the finishing climb. Category 2 are in the flatlands before the final climb. Category 3, a little bit further down the road. And Category 4, well, they are now at 24.5, nearly 25 kilometers. And that means that they are heading in towards our final climb. So this is the moment where Category 4 need to know exactly what their plan is for the climb. Category 3 have got a little bit of time to think about it. Category 2, well, they've still got to close down on Manuela Sanchez, who is in the lead with a little bit of sliding room if she needs it on the climb. Or maybe she's going to accelerate her way up it because she's been climbing well. Category 1, well, they've been saving their efforts for where it's really key. And in some ways, Emma, Category 1 have been very smart about this. They've been putting their energy in where it's needed. They've not been expending energy where it won't make a difference. And is this just experience and cynical racing almost from Category 1? Or is it just because they're scared? Because the volume of riders here, there's some big stakes, big prize money at stake in the team competition and in those individual prizes.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the Category 1 race field is still pushing on strongly. You know, Sakamoto is currently putting out 5 watts per kilo up this climb, but they have had a much more conservative race start than our other categories. Now, maybe that's because they want to take it all out on the climb, and they're quite confident in their climbing ability, and that they know that that's where the main race action is going to be, and they are quite happy to leave it till that climb and do a 20-minute effort rather than an hour and 10 effort. But it's very interesting to see that our other 3 race categories have not come in with those tactics today and have had very aggressive racing into the bottom of that climb, which our Category 4 riders are now about to start that ascent. So it is interesting. But our Category 1 race field not particularly interested at the moment in making the catch and being the leaders on the road.
And there are no prizes for being the first over the line.
There are
prizes, of course, are per category. So it might be a matter of pride. I mean,
Well,
when I was a second category rider, I didn't want to get beat by a third cat or a fourth cat. Well, fourth cats didn't even exist.
Or maybe our category 1 riders have less ego.
Maybe so. Let's face it. It's a small enough commentary box that can only just fit mine in sometimes. Says the man who told the entire world that he hadn't took an absolute packet yesterday. I mean, to be honest, yesterday I think anybody out on a shopping bike would have gone past me, probably pushing it, to be honest. Right, on to the climb, and our riders are still going quicker than I was yesterday. 10 kph shows you the difference. We saw 40 kph coming out of these riders, but it's yo-yoing as they go up and down. So this, the key section, the big climb has started, and here we go. So category 4 on the climb, you can see the mounting looming in front of the riders. This will be a daunting sight for the riders on that running in the gradient. Top right hand side of your screen, we said earlier, those colours will change. It's in the red. It's our riders in red, our category 4 riders, with 4 riders leading out, Emma.
Yeah, it is indeed, and it's Maria Jose Gallego who has been dropped first from this group, and then a Levink. So 4 riders now at the front of this pack, and Gonzalez, Fernanda, where are we? Barco Ossa is in there as well, and also Agudelu. Now, it's really interesting, this. I think at this point, if you can't stay with this lead pack, it is a case of finding your pace and riding the climb at your own pace, because currently the front of this pack are attacking each other very strongly, you know, at 4.5 watts per kilo, 3.5 watts per kilo. This is strong attacks, and they're going to need to take some rest. So there is the opportunity, if you get dropped from this group, to find your pace and just time trial to the top, because you never know what is going to happen, and you may pick up 1 or 2 riders on the way.
And that is the danger, isn't it? If you go with the lead group, push yourself too far into that red, respond to one attack too many, you go and burn through those energy stores, and you can be in real trouble and lose not just seconds, or you can lose, you know, half an hour realistically on the climb.
Now, somebody who's not in real trouble at the moment, Jojo Bauer's heart rate's currently 147. It's dropping as I am speaking.
4.4, 4.3.
So definitely not in trouble at the moment. Definitely not in the red. Very comfortably sat. Well, I've seen some. I think I saw Gemma Brogan at 113 not very long ago, a couple of weeks ago, when we were talking about that very slow start from the category 1 riders. But you know, a very comfortable pace here with we're looking at Bauer's heart rate. So Bauer, Brogan, Giraldo, all the people we would expect to be in this race field at the lead of this category 1 in there, and still some distance from that category 2 lead pack. So that's still going well.
So a summary for you: category 4 leading on the road, 26.53. They are on to the main slopes. Category 3 chasing, and they're at nearly 26 kilometers. They're on the start of the climb. Category 2 at just less than 24 kilometers covered. They are currently about 1.5k from the start of the steeper slopes. And then category 1, they're at 21.5, so they are about 4k out from the main part of the climb and the climb up to the finish. So as we go through segment number 5, the results in, very interesting to see that category 2 leader Manuela Sanchez, that rider who's been so aggressive, has gone through that segment number 5, which is a 3.5k segment. It's not a sprint segment. She's gone through that the fastest. It may only be 1.244 seconds in front, but look at the watts difference: 247 watts being kicked out. And in fact, the only rider who has put out more watts on the way through and a similar power to weight ratio is in fact Jojo Bauer on that same segment. And that is really telling. The rest of the group sitting in there. And I think for me, that says that Bauer was doing the work on the front of the bunch, predominantly in category 1, whereas Manuela Sanchez was solo and having to work on her own. So in we go. This is Category 3 leader Maria Higuita at the moment, who is on the climb. She's solo from Barca, Fioroni and Ribaudo. These four riders were working well together, but they've come onto the climb, and it's Higuita who has opened up a 9-second advantage on Fioroni and Barco, with Ribaudo currently just at the back of that group. I think she's going to close them back down again. So at the moment, in Category 3, solo leader, 3 chasers. In Category 2, solo leader, Manuela Sanchez. However, it's not just 3 riders behind. That is a big pack of what looks to be about 12 riders behind. I'm not sure whether Emma knows those numbers better than me. It's changing non-stop, with riders joining, as you can see, and then being detached off the back of that group as a churn occurs. That's constant revolving from the front to the back. It's a bit like a group of penguins on the pole, on the South Pole in the Antarctic. They get to roll around. It's just about a whole lot warmer when you're up onto the climb. But Sanchez now on to the slopes, and you can see it kicking up in front. Look at that gradient increase. Great camera angle here. We are at 6%, but the slope's going to kick as she comes onto it now. Watch those numbers on the right. We're into the red. We're over 9% and climbing now over 10%. Sanchez is out the saddle now. Has she got her timing right? She has gone hard. She's closing in on Quintero. But remember, Manuela Sanchez was one of our most aggressive riders in Category 2, in fact, across the whole of the race fields, and really has put in a great ride so far. I think she's got a good sized gap here to the pack behind. Can she continue to pull this out? Well, only time will tell. We still have 9+ kilometers to the finish, so she's got to get a pacing right.
And that 9+ kilometers, Matt, is all uphill, because that checkered flag comes at the top of this Category 1 climb. So Sanchez continues to push on in our Category 2 race, back in our Category 1 race field. Now, these are 2.3 kilometers behind that Category 2 field, so slowly bringing them back. We've still got a very large pack of Category 1 riders now, 13 riders in this pack, as attests to the last segment, but starting to pick up those Category 2 riders on the back of the field. We've got Sakamoto in here, Bauer, Menendez, Estrada, Quevedo, Biarhead, all of the riders we would expect to see in here. Ortiz is in here, Giraldo, Estrada is in here. We are expecting, I think, I'm going to make a prediction.
Dum, 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 dum.
Fireworks on the climb.
Fireworks on the climb. I think it's not just going to be fireworks, it's going to be a thermonuclear explosion in that group. It's like somebody's just dropped an H-bomb in the middle of them, because they're going to be absolutely blown to smithereens on the way up. There is no way, I think you're dead right, there is no way that you are going to see this group go up this climb with more than 2 or 3 riders together, because they've been taking it steady. And what we find, the smoother you are, the more likely it is for it to explode. But Emmy, just spotted to see something on the screens there.
Yeah, only that just noticing the riders that had been gapped a bit from the back of that Category 1 race. So riders have indeed been gapped and are falling off it. So it is slowly getting smaller, that group, but only very slowly.
So on to the climb with our Category 2 race leader in Category 2, Manuela Sanchez. Now the gap to the chasers behind was 1.5 minutes. She's currently sitting at sub 5 watts per kilo, but only just, it's 4.7, 4.8 watts per kilo behind. Chinelli and Kekkonen are not holding that same pace. So Sanchez continuing to hold the gap up at the front of Category 2. Category 1 on the left of your screen is still on the run in towards the climb, and I think a Category 1 are going to be very interesting to follow on and into the base of the climb, because I think it will go from the moment we hit those slopes. So Category 4 at the moment at 28 kilometers, 27 kilometers. Category 3, 26.5 for Category 2. And category 1, well, they are at 24.9. They're about to make that turn onto the climb.
They are indeed, but just taking a look on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, this Category 4 race, Matt, is really good, you know. We've still got Barco, Oscar and Fernanda fighting it out whilst on this climb, and they've been on this climb for some significant time already now, but still neck and neck between these two riders. Gonzalez and Agudelo are all now behind, so it's now a 10-second gap back to third, a 15-second gap back to fourth, and over a minute now back to fifth place in that Category 4 race.
Well, we're now seeing the riders chasing Sanchez. They brought the gap down to less than a minute in Category 2. So Category 2 also aggressive, but Category 4, as you said there, Emma, working really strongly. Category 3 doing the same, but this is a real fight. Are we going to see the selection made here for the fight for the remaining 4 prize money slots coming up? Because remember, Sanchez is well and truly up the road, but the gap is being closed down at speed as they come up on to the climb. Category 2 is getting closer and closer together, and this is due to the pace and the aggression in the climb. Now back with Category 1, we're on the climb, we're in with Kelly Sakamoto, and Sakamoto is going to start to see the riders. This is where you see the pace and the speed of those riders in Category 1. Our camera's jumping up to the riders in front. Jenny Tan is going to see this group coming at her at the moment, and Echeverry is the rider who's leading them up, but she's got company. Kelly Sakamoto having a great ride here with Brogan in here. Dega Mashandi again showing exactly just how good she is and why she's such a threat. Bauer is also sitting in this group, but you can see that this pack really are motoring, and whilst they've still got riders sitting with them for a little while from Category 2, it's going to be very difficult to hold on to the wheels as you go up, and the pace keeps on kicking.
Yeah, and I think what's going to be interesting now, Matt, with this Category 1 pack is that they are working their way through the back of the Category 4, the Category 3 and the Category 2 race fields. So there's always going to be somebody to chase. Even if you are leading this Category 1 race, you've got riders to pick off, and you are going to see riders all the way up this climb.
And it really is helpful when you're doing that on the way through to be able to see somebody. We're just doing Jenny Tanner's Jessica Menendez is trying to close. I think we've lost some big names though coming out the back there.
Yeah, and I think this is the issue, isn't it, here? Because we've got a Category 2 rider and a Category 3. So as they start to overtake these packs, you've got to be really careful what side of the split you're on. And we've just seen Menendez there and Embring get caught out on the wrong side of that Category 2 rider. Menendez picking up the pace, but here it's Brogan who is pushing on at the front here on this climb. Gemma Brogan has had an outstanding month and she's been riding really, really strongly, but it is indeed Brogan who is pushing on. She's had 1 first, 1 fourth and 1 fifth this month, Matt. I think she wants to win this final. She's nailing her colours to the master early.
Well, she's got company with Sakamoto putting in a fantastic ride. Quevedo, who we know can take victories at the top of the climb, along with riders like the likes of Bauer, have taken Mashandi. Ortiz, we've seen be strong in the top of the climb. Rosario Estrada again. But look at the times up there. Brogan, as you say, heading them up, and the fastest times up this segment 6, indicative of the pace that the riders are climbing as they come through. Brogan, Sakamoto, Quevedo, Dega Mashandi, Bauer, Echeverry, Ortiz, Gerardo, Estrada, Menendez, then Bjarhed and Embring as they come up here. But look at the gap to Bjarhed and Embring. They've lost 20 seconds for Bjarhed and 26 seconds near enough for Embring from the Fusion squad. And this is where we start to see the teams that are leading as well. The picture starts to become clear when we come on the climb. At the moment, the Crank sisters looking good. They've got 3 good riders right up there. But remember, it's the cumulative time, add the time together for the first 3 riders in the team. Now, Brogan attacking once again, looking to split this up. I think your prediction that Brogan really wants this is not wrong at all. And Gemma Brogan really is kicking hard here.
Yeah, she is indeed, and it's Manshandi doing the chasing, but that group behind is still all together while Brogan continues to kick the gradient mat, just dropping slightly and currently just around 5% now. So a much steadier gradient and one that might bring the group back together again. But Brogan has a category 4 rider who will be the next one who comes into her sights up the road. So it depends on how much she can push. Interesting to see Jojo Bauer now coming to the front of the chase group. Bauer and Brogan have been outstanding climbers this month.
They've been outstanding riders for the last year, pretty much, haven't they? Because we've seen them battle it out. If two riders know how each other ride, they are definitely them. And at the moment, you can see Bauer knows exactly she can't let Brogan go too far down the road. It's about 8 seconds at the moment. There's not a lot of difference in the groups. Meanwhile, categories 2, 3, and 4 continue to battle it out. Those gaps are opening and closing as the riders wax and wane on this climb. As they see that power, we can just see, though, in category 1, your leader on the left-hand screen, the chasers on the right-hand screen. Look at the power numbers, look at the speeds, and then look at the gradients. Add all that up together in your head, and you're doing a fraction of what these riders are doing, because they're also riding this simultaneously whilst checking what's going on. And screen sniping, watching the other rider's screen, is absolutely key on the way through. Know what everybody else is doing and how hard you have to push. Kelly Sakamoto is doing some chasing now, trying to pick up the group in front, really just trying to get up and near to the leader, Brogan. Sakamoto wants that prize money, I think.
Well, Gemma Brogan, now 12 seconds, the gap she's put in there. We said that it was an adamant attack, and it really is, and it's making it stick and keeping it going. As we just drop in with Manuela Sanchez, who's leading this category 2 race, she's now moving through that category 3 race field, and she's got 10 riders in front of her on the road now. So 10 riders separating the lead of this category 2 race with the lead on the road. Now on that top right hand graphic, this is where it gets really interesting, because you can see on this climb where the next riders are to chase. You can also see the chase pack of that category 2 race field. Tejeros and Kokona are the ones leading that attack, and you know what, Matt, they are not far behind Sanchez now at all. It's about a 3-second gap that Manuela Sanchez has on this chase pack of category 2 riders coming up this climb, and you know what, that pack are still strong and still together.
Yeah, very interesting to see. Getting mixed up in traffic, though, aren't they? You can see on your screens the gap has rocketed down between category 1 leaders and what's left of category 2. It's not together. There's a little bit of a group, I think, as Emma was saying, but it is starting to get smashed apart. Hermansen being distanced, Olsen also going to be in trouble. Mary Joyce Coking, interestingly, in category 3, just ahead of Quintero. So at the moment, Brogan is about to catch Quintero, who's chasing Mary Joyce Coking. Brogan goes through, and you can see waiting and having a steadier ride in has allowed these riders to have a lot more in the tank going on the climb. We are seeing numbers in the 6, 7 and 8 watt per kilo marker for the category 1 riders on this climb. The rest of the categories went hard early. The category 1 have saved it for the climb, and it may well be that they are going to have that fantastic feeling of catching rider after rider on the way through, and that extra motivation, that little bit of draft on the way through, will be key. There's not much draft at the speed these riders go, but every little fraction can help. 9% almost on both our screens at the moment. Kokkonen on the right hand side currently on the chase, and look at this, she really is moving well up at the front of this group of category 2 riders. Just looking to try and see where Sanchez is, whether she's been reabsorbed. Emma, have you managed to see whether Manuela Sanchez was reabsorbed by that group? She was getting so close. She has, yes.
Yeah, she has
there we
indeed.
go. Kokkonen now on the front of this race, and Novelin Kokkonen can climb. I remember seeing Kokkonen going up and taking on the Category 1 race when we had all of our categories in the racing pretty much together in 3 categories. She was racing up at the front, and she was only just caught the summit of a climb. She can climb Kekkonen really well, and this is a dangerous move. Chinelli is chasing at the moment with Jeris and co, but they are trying to close down Kekkonen, who has got that slight lead now. That's right-hand side of your screen, and coming in to focus now. Here is, I think, the catch going to be made. So the group is chasing a lone rider on the right-hand side of your screen. That lone rider is Kekkonen, who is trying to respond to the chase that's coming, and the chase is breaking this group up. You can see that they are not all comfortable with the pace of the chase here, being led by Annalyn Jageros. So very, very much the case that the chasing is breaking riders, and it's the same here in Category 1. So at the front of the race in Category 1, Kelly Sakamoto with Gemma Brogan. The chase behind has fractured and distanced the riders, and now we are seeing a real selection being made of the Category 1 riders. So at the moment, Kelly Sakamoto, Gemma Brogan with an 8-second gap, which varies between about 6 and 8 seconds. That is for Menezes, Quevedo, Ortiz, as well as Bauer.
Yeah, and the gap between all of our race categories is now coming down, and we are very shortly going to see all of our race categories come together as our Category 4, Category 3, Category 2 and Category 1 riders are all well and truly on this climb now. So Sakamoto and Brogan moving and working strongly together, but Sakamoto, Matt, you are quite right, is having an outstanding ride today. Brogan in 2 on her wheel, all those 2 just gone past Coking. In fact, the rest of that Category 1 field now coming past Coking too. 10 seconds back from these 2, it's Menezes, Ortiz, Quevedo, Manshandi. That group are also chasing hard, but a lot more riders round the bend, and it is those riders in Category 4, Category 2 and Category 3 that the front of this Category 1 race field is shortly going to see.
And the front of this race field, Kelly Sakamoto, you know something, she is absolutely flying. Really, really impressed. If you're going to pull a ride out and put it in on a big day, do it on a prize money day when it's not just individual, but it's also team prize money, which is up for stake. Kelly Sakamoto riding for the Free Riders team that contains Gerardo Arias, Geraldo, Gonzalez Ruiz, Sanchez, as well, all going to be benefiting from the ride by Kelly Sakamoto, because she'll be also putting in a good time for that team. Sakamoto just clear of Brogan, and then a bigger gap back to Jessenia Menezes, who is in the chasing group with Degan, Mashani, Quevedo and co. As they come up this climb, they're approaching the 30-kilometer marker. We're still going to have 5 kilometers to go, but 5k to go. Really, really key. So our riders on the climb of the Jebel here up in the mountains in the United Arab Emirates, here in the fantastic world of MyWhoosh. Our leaders in Category 1 closing down those riders that set off a minute in front, with that head starts for Categories 2, 3 and 4, but the Category 1 leaders being led by Kelly Sakamoto, followed by Gemma Brogan. Sakamoto of Japan, Brogan from the United Kingdom, leading this out at the moment on the climb in the February finals. We are moving across to Category 2. Great battle here between 3 riders at the moment. You can see that we've got Maria Higuita, Carla Fioroni, as well as Adriana Barco. And in fact, Lorenzo Ribaudo is not all that far off the pace either. And closing in. So 3 riders at the moment here with Fioroni, Barco and Ribaudo on the way up here. But this is another fantastic battle. They have a chase to make. There is a solo Category 3 rider up there, but look at the chase behind. Tajeros is the leader in Category 2. She's gone past the chasing group in Category 3, and Tajeros with Kekkonen right up in the mix as we see the riders coming through in Category 2, led by Annalyn Tajeros. Then it's Novelin Kokona and Eleni Cinelli, as well as Fernandez and Lantari, all chasing this rider. So Tajeros now on the way up. Tajeros, another rider who's had a good season.
Yeah, absolutely. But those riders are not out of this race yet. There's only 10 seconds separating first and to fifth in that Category 2 race at the moment, and still 4.1 kilometers to go.
And the distance between our leader on the road, that's on the right-hand side of your screen, Luisa Fernanda. Fernanda in Category 4. In position 1 on the road. Then you can see we've got 2 more Category 4 riders. Then it's going to be the first of our Category 3 riders in 4th position overall. Then it's the first of our Category 2 riders, currently in 5th place overall. The Category 1 riders are a lot further down in comparison, and Tajeros, I think, with the pace that she's putting down, is going to be closing. However, Sakamoto has kicked again, and I think this could be the race-winning move here, because Kelly Sakamoto is now heading for 5K to go. It's a great number to have in your head. You know what 5K feels like, and she has just put nearly 10 seconds into Gemma Brogan, who was her breakaway companion. So Kelly Sakamoto of Japan from Gemma Brogan, who's at 10 seconds. Menezes and Quevedo, they are nearly half a minute down on Sakamoto. This is a section, this steep section, that is clearly suiting Sakamoto.
Yeah, it is indeed, as she kicks round that bend and she continues to move through the back of that Category 2 race field. In fact, it's Jenny Sanchez.
Front of the Category 2 race field almost.
It's Jenny Sanchez she's just caught, and let's not forget Jenny Sanchez was one of those early leaders in that Category 2 race. It was a Sanchez and Sanchez attack at the start. So Jenny Sanchez now dropping further back down that race field as Kelly Sakamoto, the leader in our Category Run race field, moves through. A little bit further back down the road, about 150 meters, is the chase group with Menendez, Quevedo, Ortiz, Manshandi and Bauer in there. Olsen is the Category 2 rider. They've just gone past, but look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders in that chase group, all really close together at the moment, and the 2 riders further back are not that far away. But can these 5 push on, and have they still got time and road to catch Sakamoto, who has got now what looks like around 3.8 kilometers of this race left?
Well, I think this is going to be very difficult. Kelly Sakamoto is showing no signs of slowing at the moment. When the gradient increases, she's out the saddle, kicking down hard, and really is trying to power her way up here. Meanwhile, we're back in now with Maria Higuita. Higuita, the leader of the Category 3, is about to get caught by the leader of Category 2. So we have 2 of our category leaders almost side by side here. Higuita just being passed by Tajeros, and they are coming up on the top 3 riders in Category 4 at the moment. So our Category 4 leaders are about to see them. You can see that it is going to be Maria Agudelo who is going to be caught here. So looks like... in fact, it's going to be Viviana Gonzalez who's got taken this time, but there's not a lot to choose. So to Gonzalez taken by Tajeros, but she quickly jumps on because we're on the slight leveling of the course here. In fact, this is pretty much the only piece of downhill on the whole ascent here. But you can see Tajeros currently at 32 kilometers. 31.6 is Kelly Sakamoto, the leader of Category 1. Maria Higuita is also at almost 32k, and Luisa Fernandez, she's our race leader on the road overall, but she's being chased down as well. So this is going to come together in the last few kilometers of the climb.
It is, Matt, and can I just say what an outstanding ride Fernanda is doing. She's had 1 second place this month, and she's being chased by Barco Ossa, who's had 2 wins and a second. So Fernanda putting in an outstanding ride today.
Yeah, definitely. Barco also, we know, has got absolute class. We've seen her time and time again. Fernanda doing the same. Kelly Sakamoto on an amazing ride here and really has got the timing right. She's gone clear of Gemma Brogan in Category 1. She's picking up the chasers in Category 2 at the moment, and she knows that she's going to be looking to try and accelerate away again. They're trying to hang on, and it's that little dip that we see at 32k just as we come past the old fort. You can see that little drop down there and climb. It's really, really key because it allows those riders to regroup. But as soon as you hit the slopes, look at what's happened. Luisa Fernanda Osoria has been distanced along with Novalin Kekkonen and Alessia Lantari Cinelli as well. That they are making ground, but they're not moving as fast as our Category 1 leader, Kelly Sakamoto, who I think must be close to catching the front of this race, surely.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because this Category 2 race is absolutely playing out now with riders digging in hard. And I was just laughing there because Reynard and Pardini were going to try and go with Sakamoto to actually get a toe up to Kekkonen, Cinelli, and Lantari. These 4 riders here who are working their way past this Category 3 rider. And it was really, really interesting to see how they were trying to dig in and get the gap. But Sakamoto has continued to push on, and she's dropped Reynard, Sanchez and Pardini now. They were just not able to stay with her however much they wanted to.
And it was great racecraft by them, wasn't it? It was just so good to see. Even at this stage, they're in oxygen debt. They can hardly see straight. The legs are on fire. Their lungs are burning. And yet they still had the racecraft to see a rider coming, jump on and move. And this is what's so good about racing with all these categories, getting the chance to jump in with each other. They soon get to see as Tajeros now is going past the leader on the road. Tajeros becomes the #1 rider out on the course at the moment. The Category 2 leader catching the Category 4 leader. Luisa Fernanda and Barca Ossa now passed by Tajeros, who is the leader on the road. She is well up this climb. She's approaching the 33-kilometer marker. That's going to come where the blue banner is, and I'll tell you something, this is a very painful 100 meters, as every meter will be at this stage at the top of the climb. You can see directly below our riders down there. What a great camera shot, and the vertical height gain to come up is phenomenal.
It is indeed. This is up at 11% as Tajeros goes through that 33-kilometer mark signified by that blue banner, which is the end of our final segment. That is segment number 7. It's a 5-kilometer segment up this climb. Currently, Tajeros is the only rider through that segment, so #1 at the moment. But I don't think that is going to stay because we're looking at Sakamoto, as Sakamoto's only got around 140 meters before she sees that blue banner herself, and the pace she's been going up this climb and the riders she's been overtaking, I can't believe she's not going to set the fastest time up this final segment.
She's surely going to set the fastest time that is going to stand for a long time. She's absolutely rocketing up here. Now Gemma Brogan is also on the chase, but she is about to come into that 180-degree turn as Kelly Sakamoto approaches the blue banner that we just saw Tajeros come in and through. Come on, Kelly, this is some ride. This has got to be the fastest through that segment by some time. I don't think anyone's going to touch this. Let's have a look. I think the leader coming in and through. Here we go. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness gracious me. That is not just the fastest time. She's in a different calendar month, surely. Look at that.
I know, 1 minute 45 quicker. Kelly Sakamoto leading the Category 1 race than our leader in the Category 2 race. But let's not forget the rest of our Category 1 riders have not come through yet. Gemma Brogan is currently second in that Category 1 race, but 41 seconds behind Sakamoto. So Sakamoto setting an outstanding time through that first 5 kilometers of the climb today.
Well, really interested to see. I mean, Tajeros, we saw lead. She's climbed past everybody in the Category 2 race. Faster than Category 2, faster than Category 3, faster than Category 4. She comes through and it's 1:45 down on the time set by Kelly Sakamoto coming through that same segment. You can see now it filling, and the Crank Sisters team here in Category 1 are absolutely strong as anything.
Yeah.
It's the same that we've seen that the strong teams come to the fore on the way through. We're now in with Kelly Sakamoto. And interestingly here, Emma, Kokkonen, Fernandez, Lantari, and Chinelli are currently staying with Kelly Sakamoto. And Sakamoto is closing on Tajeras, which means that Fernandez, Kokkonen, Lanteri, and Chinelli are also closing. And they are taking their lead from Kelly Sakamoto, who is on this steep section. They've had a real long kick here, but this is a very long straight drag. Tajeras, I mean, the time is tumbling. Will she get caught? It is going to come down to the wire.
Well, I think it is going to come down to the wire for all these race categories, because Sakamoto has just dropped her power and it enabled the 4 Category 2 riders to go past her. So has Sakamoto blown? Has she gone too early on this climb? And can the Category 1 chasers behind catch her now? Because Sakamoto there was only at 2.5 watts per kilo. I'm wondering whether she needed a little bit of a micro rest there, Matt. Are the riders behind? Is there enough road for them to catch her?
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see. Here we go. Sakamoto now had just been dropped and coming back on, like you say, maybe just taking that little bit of a rest on that smoother section, taking a breather. She knows that she is into the last 100 meters, but I tell you something, Tajeras must be fast approaching the line here. Look at the distance between them. It's 0.4, almost exactly 0.4 of a kilometer between Tajeras, who's leading on the road, the leader of Category 2. The chaser behind is Kelly Sakamoto, who has opened the throttles once again. I tell you something, if she likes the afterburners, she's going to be on Tajeras. Tajeras has got to dig in here if she wants to take the first rider over the line. The commendation for that, but I think realistically the speed that Kelly Sakamoto is moving, I mean 300 meters for Tajeras to go. It's coming down at speed. Will it come down quickly enough for Kelly Sakamoto? Emma's shaking her head in the commentary booth here next to me. I'm nodding my head here in the commentary booth. I think Kelly Sakamoto could do this, but it's going to come down to these last few 100 meters. Annalyn Tajeras on the left of your screen. Come on, Kelly, right-hand side of the screen. We're going to drop in. I think Emma could have this right, to be honest, here, because Annalyn Tajeras is on the way in.
She's got 100 metres and she can see that finish banner. And it is coming and she is motoring. She's not going to get caught, Matt.
She's not. This is the final kicker. Here she comes. She's heading for the line.
Yeah, she is indeed. And Tajeras kicks that final 30 metres. She can see the line in front of her. Sakamoto's not going to make the catch. Tajeras is going to take the first across the line and the win in the Category 2 race for the February final on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
So Annalyn Tajeras takes the first rider through the line. Kelly Sakamoto, I think, has eased back here because she knows she can't catch Tajeras. She knows Tajeras is through. She's got a lot of sliding room to Gemma Brogan, but she can't afford to ease off too much. But she's going to put in a dig. Come on, Kelly. Behind, you can see that they're coming at her as well here. So you can see at the moment that Fernandez Osorio has gone for the kick. And this is the battle for second, third, fourth, and fifth places in the Category 2 competition. So this is the fight for the line. They're all coming into the line together. Who's going to take it? Oh, it's going to be close. So they come through ahead of Kelly Sakamoto. Kelly Sakamoto, it takes the first rider in category number 1. Second place in category number 1 is going to be Gemma Brogan. Then it's going to be Jojo Bauer, who's going to come up to the line, I think, behind, but Bauer's in the battle as well. So Brogan is on the way in to the finish. Brogan is going to take second place.
Yeah, the Brogan takes second place, but Quevedo, Menendez, Ortiz and Bauer are all here. It's kicking, going, and 3 across the line there, Matt, in that Category 1 race. It might have been a clear winner, but it definitely wasn't clear for the placings. Pardini is going to be our next rider in with Reynard.
Wow, What a finish. So here is the summary. The first 7 places in Category 1, followed by the Category 2 riders in. This will update as we go through, but it's Sakamoto in 1, Brogan in 2, Cavado in 3, Ortiz in 4, Menezes in 5. They're the 5 prize money winners in the individual competition. It's going to be Cavado, Menezes, and Dega Machani in that team competition, with Crank Sisters taking the win, Tajeros taking the individual win in Category 2. The team competition, though, will come down to the riders who are on the way in to the finish. What a race, Emma. Fantastic stuff on the way through. And we are going to be, got to say, what a race. What a final, what a finale to February.
Absolutely amazing racing in all 4 categories today, Matt, and it was an absolute pleasure to watch and to commentate on.
Well, it's been a pleasure putting words to the action. Don't forget, you can catch up with Emma. It's at Biking Emma on the social media. It's at Matt Fixer Payne for myself, Matt Payne. Don't forget, of course, it's at Full Speed Events. That's Emma and I, and we're all here working with a fantastic team at MyWhoosh. And I've got to say a big thank you to the team behind the scenes, making the racing happen and giving us such exciting racing to be able to put words to the action, and to our riders for keeping us entertained. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Make sure you tune in for our men's race, which is coming shortly, and hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel to be in there and get notified when we go live once again. So from Emma, from myself, Matt Payne, stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.